Hi, this is Jillian from Design Student Savvy, and in today's tutorial we're going to continue working with our floor plan of our small house and turn our two-dimensional floor plan into a 3D model with openings for windows and doors. Now, if you'd like to follow along with this tutorial, head on over to designstudentsavvy.com to the blog post that corresponds with this video and download the SketchUp model. You can find the link in the video notes. To get started, we need to first make some modifications to our wall's interior layer based on the modifications that we made to our Plan 2D layer in the last video. So if you remember from the last video, we moved this wall up 6 inches. You can see the difference from the plan. And there was a segment here that we deleted and a wall segment over here that we deleted. But we made those changes on the Plan 2D layer. And in this tutorial, we're going to be working with the wall's interior layer and the wall's exterior layer. So we need to make sure that wall's interior matches our new plan that's on Plan 2D. So check the checkbox next to wall's interior so that that layer becomes visible and you can see those walls below the interior walls on the 2D plan. They don't quite line up. Now, I also want you to activate the wall's interior layer. That just means that anything we draw from this point forward will be drawn on that layer. First, go ahead and double-click on the interior walls group and then double-click on it again in the main section, not on the fireplace walls, to open up that nested group. And you can tell that it's open because I can see the blue dots on the face when I click it. And we're just going to move this bathroom wall up to meet the other bathroom wall. So draw a selection box from left to right around it, hit M to activate your move command, click in the corner, and then just drag up until it snaps with the wall underneath it on the Plan 2D group. And then let's get rid of this segment and this segment. So activate your line tool, and you are just going to draw line segments on either side of that wall segment right there. I'm not sure why we can't see them. And then you are going to hit E for the eraser and erase those wall segments. Come on over to this wall segment over here. We're going to do the same thing and erase both of those. And then go ahead and click outside of your group twice to close that group. And then you can uncheck your Plan 2D layer and you can see there are my interior walls, and now they've been modified to match the walls that were on the Plan 2D layer. And we also want to check our wall's exterior layer so that our exterior walls are also visible. So now we want to get out of parallel projection mode. Okay, you can tell that you're in parallel projection mode if you're looking straight down and you don't see a blue line for the Z-axis. Now if I go up to camera and turn off parallel projection, now you can see the blue line representing the Z-axis. Click on your orbit button and just orbit your plan so that you're looking at it kind of from a perspective top down. So to use your orbit button, you just click on the orbit tool and you just click and drag within your model space. We're going to start with extruding the exterior walls. And for the purpose of this tutorial and the rest of the tutorials, we're going to assume that the walls are 9 feet high throughout the small house. Go ahead and activate your wall's exterior layer, and now you want to activate your selection tool by hitting the space bar. Double click on your wall's exterior layer. Make sure that you can select that blue face by clicking on it and seeing the blue dots. Up in your top toolbar, click on your push-pull tool and then hover over the face of your exterior walls. Click once and then start dragging upward. And as you drag upward, you'll see the walls begin to be extruded in 3 dimensions. To get them to snap to exactly 9 feet, we're going to type 9 and then the sign for foot, the little apostrophe, and hit enter. You could also type 108 inches. And the walls will snap to exactly 9 feet. Now you can use your tape measure tool to verify this by clicking on the bottom and then on the top and see 108 inches. Perfect. So Activate your selection tool by hitting the spacebar, click outside the group, and there are your exterior walls. Now go ahead and activate your wall's interior layer. You don't really need to keep changing layers, but I'm doing it just to make sure that we're working on the layer that we want to be on with these wall groups. Double click your interior wall groups, that larger group, and then we're going to start with the main interior walls group, so double click on that one again. Hit P to activate your push-pull tool, hover over that face, and as you drag up, so you could type in 9 feet again or 108 inches, but you can also hover your push-pull tool on the top of the exterior walls and it will snap the new extrusion exactly to that same height. You can see down in the bottom right hand corner it says 108 inches. So I'm just going to click, and then I am going to click outside of that group once, and then I'm going to double click on the group with the fireplace walls to open it and do the same thing. And now we have both of our exterior walls and our interior walls extruded to 9 feet. Our next step is to start cutting the openings for the windows and doors in the exterior walls. Go ahead and use the orbit tool to rotate your plan around so that you're looking down at the wall with the front door on it and the 2 windows in the dining area and living area. You can activate your wall's exterior layer again. Now, activate your selection tool, double click on the exterior wall group. Make sure that you can click on this exterior wall face and see the blue dots to make sure that you can activate or edit that wall. Now, we are going to be working with the dimensions from the plan, and we are going to use the tape measure, still using guides here. I love guides. And we are going to click on this top edge of this closet wall, click on it with the tape measure and drag over 18.5 inches. And then we'll drag over again 36 inches. And those are the 2 edges of my front door. And now click on a vertical edge of that same wall, and you can drag it over and snap it to one of those horizontal guides and do the same thing for the other side. So now we have vertical and horizontal guides at our front door, and we need to create another horizontal guide to represent the header of the door, and we're going to assume all our headers in this model are at 80 inches. So I'm clicking on the bottom edge of the wall, I'm dragging up. You can tell that I'm dragging perfectly up because you can see that blue line. I'm going to enter 80 and hit the enter key. Then I'm going to hit R to activate my rectangle tool, and I'm going to draw a rectangle from this corner to this corner. So see, you can see that X means I'm starting at the intersection, so I'm clicking there and I'm dragging down and I'm clicking at the intersection of that vertical guide and the bottom edge of the wall. And there is a rectangle to represent my front door. Now to punch the opening, we are going to hit P to activate the push-pull tool. And you can see that now we have 2 faces here. We have the face for the walls, and then we have segmented a face for the exterior door, the front door, so we can manipulate those separately. So with our push-pull tool, we're going to click on this face we created, and we're going to push inwards. Now there's a number of ways you can do this to create the hole. The way that I like to do it is to click on the back edge of the wall that I'm trying to punch through, and that will create the opening. But you can also just push through, and sometimes you'll see a message like on face or limited to whatever the thickness of the wall is, and you can click there too, and it will also do it. And the third way is to start pushing backwards and type in the thickness of the wall and hit enter. That will also cut the hole. So now we have our front door. And so let's go ahead, and on this window over here, all I have to do on this one is just click on that vertical edge. I can type 21 for the left edge and then over 90. And then we're going to assume our sill heights are 24 inches. And so I'll take a rectangle and I will draw a rectangle from the intersection of those guidelines, activate my push-pull tool, and push that window back. Let's do the same thing over here. I'm going to start with this guideline, drag over. Now let's see how that line isn't red or green right now? I want it to be on the red axis. So I'm going to hover over this edge to make sure that my guideline is snapped to the red axis. And I'm going to type 38.5, and then I'll click on the one I just created and bring one over that's 90 inches, hit R for rectangle, connect the dots, P for the push-pull tool, and pop open that opening for that window. Now at this point I'm going to go ahead and delete my guide since I've drawn all the openings on that wall. And I'll orbit around to the wall with the kitchen and the one bedroom, and I'll keep going. So tape measure, I'm going to come over 21 inches, then over 60 inches, over 54.5 inches, over 52 inches, oh sorry, not 52, 32 inches, and then from the other side I'm going to come over 12 inches and 48 inches. And let's establish our header height. So we'll click on the bottom edge and come up 80 inches. And then the sill, let's do the doors first. So make sure you're on those X's. Draw the rectangle for the sliding door. Punch that hole open. And now for the windows, they have two different sill heights. The window in the kitchen is going to have a 42-inch sill height. So we will start and add a guideline at 42 inches from the bottom and punch that window out. And then in the bedroom, it's back to 24 inches. So we'll bring a guide up to 24 inches and draw that rectangle and create the opening. And we'll delete those guides, and then we'll just orbit around to the other window in the other bedroom, and it's the same thing. Come over 12 inches, come over 48 inches, up 24 inches, up from the bottom 80 inches, R for rectangle, draw from corner to corner, P for the push-pull tool, and pop that opening out. And then delete the guides. And then you can click outside of your exterior walls and you will be able to see the openings for your windows and your front door and your sliding door in the kitchen. Now it's time to create the interior door openings. And if you remember, in our last tutorial, we used the PDF to estimate the locations of the doors, and so I want to make sure our door openings are in the exact same locations as the one on the Plan 2D layer. So first, let's activate the Walls Interior layer, and then let's turn off Plan PDF and turn on Plan 2D. And now you can see our two-dimensional symbols below the exterior walls and interior walls that we just created. And we're going to use those openings to create our interior door openings. Let's start right here with this cased opening for the dining room. And we'll go ahead and double click on that wall group twice to open it. Select your tape measure tool, click on a vertical edge, and as you drag over, you will see that it snaps to the endpoint in the Plan 2D layer. And so we're just going to add guides at both sides and then 80 inches for the header, create our rectangle, and pop it out. And then we can go ahead and do our closet in the entryway. And then it's really important that you delete these guides as you go because you don't want to confuse yourself. And we can keep going over here. Let's create this cased opening. So We'll add guidelines on each side and then an 80-inch header. And delete those guides. And you're going to keep using this same method to create openings for all the rest of the interior doors. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. You do that on your own, and then we'll come back with all of our interior door openings created. So you should have created all of your interior doors, and this is what your model should look like. Let's go ahead and turn off X-ray mode. And there you can see all of our walls with our door openings and our windows. That looks great. Now we're going to add the ceiling and the floor. And we want to put the ceiling and floor on their own layers. So we want to create a layer called ceiling and a layer called floor. And let's start with the ceiling. So we're going to activate the ceiling layer by clicking the radio button next to it. Click R for rectangle. And we are just going to draw rectangles over the top of each room by clicking from corner to corner. And in some of the rooms, you're going to need to draw multiple rectangles, but then you can go back with the eraser tool and erase the lines that divide them to create a single face. So I'm just going to keep doing this. You can see if you use the shortcuts, it's much faster than going back up to the toolbar to reselect tools every time you need to do something different. So I really encourage you to learn how to use those shortcuts and to memorize them. Okay. You can see that some of these faces are blue-gray instead of white. In SketchUp, in some of the styles, each face has a front and a back, and in some styles they have different colors. And in this case, the front face is white and the back face is gray. And if you want them all to look the same, which I usually do, you can select the faces that are blue-gray and say reverse face, and then the white will be facing up. Or you could do it the other way and select the white face facing down and the gray face facing up. For right now, we're just going to leave it like this. And we want to turn each of these ceiling faces into a group, and then we're going to group all of them together. So double click on each rectangle and turn it into a group. And because we activated our ceiling layer, all of these rectangles, their edges and faces, are on the ceiling layer, which will be really handy later when we are setting up scenes and creating perspective views. It's really nice to be able to turn your ceiling on and off with the layer. Okay, once they're all grouped, I'm going to, with my selection tool, just hold down my Shift key and select all of those faces, and then right click on them and say make group again, and then up in the entity info we'll just call that group ceiling. Select your orbit tool and orbit your model so that you can see the bottom, and because our plan is a perfect rectangle, the floor is going to be super easy. We're just going to click R for rectangle, and we are going to draw from one corner to the other and create a single rectangle. I'm going to reverse the face so that the white is facing upward into the model. And then I'm going to double click on it to make a group. And I am going to put that group on the floor layer. Now, if you'll notice, I didn't change my active layer to floor before I created that group. So look what happens if let's say I'm going to activate the layer 0 and uncheck the ceiling layer. The floor also disappears. This is because each of the faces and edges within a group also have their own layer. So nested groups can have different layers, and the elements within a group can have their own layer. And this can be very powerful later on for creating different scenes using combinations of layer visibility. But for right now, we want all of those edges and the face for the floor to be on the floor layer. It's really easy to fix. Just double click on that group to open it up. Double-click to select everything in the group, and up in Entity Info, change the layer to Floor. And now, if we turn off our ceiling layer, you can see that the floor is no longer hidden. So our floor is now visible, whereas before it was not. So if you're ever having issues with visibility, make sure that all of the elements within the layer are also on the layer that you wanted them to be in, just not the groups. So you can't just group everything and put it on a layer. You have to make sure that everything is on the appropriate layer as you're drawing it. Or you can go back and change it later like I did, but if you're running into issues, that could be why. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, I would greatly appreciate a thumbs up on the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Design Student Savvy, so that you'll be alerted when new videos are published. In future tutorials, I plan to show you how to add moldings and casings to your doors and windows, how to plan a kitchen and a bathroom using SketchUp, how to add furniture, lighting, and so much more. So you don't want to miss out. In addition, you could head on over to designstudentsavvy.com and sign up for my free email newsletter. You'll receive a free PDF guide to choosing the right interior design software for your business. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.